Kim Taiho woke up to silence. This was strange because Lyra always made small sounds in the morning. She would hum old songs from her world while making tea. She would talk to the plants on the window, telling them about her dreams. But today there was nothing. He reached across the bed. The sheets were cold. She had been gone for hours. Taiho sat up slowly. His heart began to beat faster. Something felt wrong. The air in the apartment felt empty, like something important had been taken away. He walked through the small apartment they shared in Seoul. The year was 2147, and Earth had known about alien life for 40 years now. Humans and aliens lived together, worked together, and sometimes fell in love. Taiho and Lyra were one of those love stories. At least he thought they were. The kitchen was empty. Her favorite cup sat clean and unused on the shelf. Her shoes were gone from their place by the door, and on the table there was a single piece of paper. Taiho's hands shook as he picked it up. He recognized her handwriting. She always wrote with such care, each letter perfect and beautiful. The note said, "You should forget about me now. Please, do not search. I was never worthy of your heart." He read it 3 times. Then he read it again. The words did not change. They did not make sense. Taiho and Lyra had been married for 3 years. He remembered the day they met at a cultural exchange event. She was a Valanthi, a species known for their silver blue skin and eyes that glowed like soft starlight. She had been standing alone, watching humans laugh and dance with curiosity on her face. He had walked up to her and asked if she wanted to try the food. She had looked at him with those beautiful eyes and said, "Your species feels things so deeply. I find it fascinating." That was how it started. Coffee dates turned into long walks. Long walks turned into dinners. Dinners turned into love. Or so he believed. The Valanthi were known to be logical and calm. They did not show emotions the way humans did. But Lyra was different. She laughed at his jokes. She cried during sad movies. She held his hand when he was scared. She told him once that being near him made her feel alive in ways she never knew possible. And now she was gone. A piece of paper was all she left behind. Taiho called her phone. It was disconnected. He called her workplace at the Valanthi Cultural Center. They said she had resigned 2 days ago. He called the Valanthi embassy, desperate for answers. The official on the screen had a cold, flat voice. "Lyra has voluntarily returned to her homeworld. This is her personal choice. We cannot provide more information." "But she is my wife," Taiho said. "I have rights. I need to know if she is okay." "The matter is closed," the official said. The screen went black. Taiho stood in his empty apartment, holding the note. He felt like the ground had disappeared under his feet. 3 years of love, of building a life together, and she had just vanished. No goodbye, no explanation. Just a note telling him to forget. He could not forget. He would not forget. His phone rang. It was his younger sister, Park Yuna. She worked as an analyst for the government, dealing with alien relations and security matters. Her voice was sharp with worry. "Taiho, I heard about Lyra. Are you okay?" "No," he said honestly. "I am not okay. She is gone, Yuna. She just left." "I know, and I need to tell you something. Can I come over?" 20 minutes later, Yuna sat across from him at the kitchen table. She looked serious in a way that scared him. "This is not just about Lyra," she said. "I started looking into things when I heard the news. Taiho, in the past month, 17 Valanthi women have left their human husbands. All of them were married for about 3 years. All of them left notes with almost the same words." Taiho felt cold. "The same words?" Yuna nodded. "Every note mentions being unworthy. Every note tells the husband to forget. This is not a coincidence. Something is happening, and the Valanthi government is hiding it. Why would they do this? Why would they take these women away from their families? I do not know yet, but I am going to find out." Yuna put her hand on his. "Taiho, I know you love her, and I know you will not give up. But be careful. This goes deeper than a simple separation. The Valanthi are protecting something, and they do not want us to know what it is." After Yuna left, Taiho sat alone in the growing darkness. He looked at photos of Lyra on his phone. Their wedding day, their first vacation together, a simple morning when she had tried to make human pancakes and failed. laughing at the mess she created. In every photo, she was smiling, not the polite, distant smile that most Volanthi wore. A real smile, a human smile. She had learned that from him. He remembered what she said on their wedding night. My people believe emotions make us weak, but loving you makes me feel stronger than I have ever been. Is that strange? No, he had told her. That is exactly what love is supposed to do. She had looked at him with wonder, like he had given her a precious gift. Now she was gone, taken back to a world that believed her ability to love was a flaw. Taken from him without a real goodbye. Tai-Ho made a decision. He did not care what the Volanthi embassy said. He did not care about diplomatic rules or alien politics. Lyra was his wife. She was his family. And family does not abandon each other. He would find her. He would bring her home. And he would show the universe that human love does not give up. He looked at the note one more time. I was never worthy of your heart, she had written. You are wrong, Lyra, he whispered to the empty room. You were always worthy, and I will prove it to you. The search began that night. Tai-Ho did not sleep. He spent hours reading about other couples who had been torn apart. He collected names, dates, and details. He built a list of people who had lost their Volanthi wives just like he had. By morning, he had found 5 husbands willing to talk to him. They all shared the same pain, the same confusion, the same desperate need for answers. One of them, a man from Canada, said something that stuck with Tai-Ho. They keep telling us to forget, but how can we forget the person who taught us what love really means? Tai-Ho did not have an answer, but he knew one thing for certain. He would never forget Lyra, and he would never stop searching until he found the truth. 3 weeks passed since Lyra disappeared. Tai-Ho had not stopped searching for a single day. His apartment was covered with papers, notes, and photos. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but his heart was burning with purpose. Han Minho, his best friend since childhood, sat beside him at the kitchen table. Minho was a former military pilot who now worked in private security. He was tall, strong, and loyal. When Tai-Ho called for help, Minho came without asking questions. So we have 17 cases, Minho said, looking at the files spread across the table. 17 Volanthi wives who left their human husbands, all in the past 2 months. Yes, Tai-Ho said, and I have talked to 12 of these husbands. Their stories are all the same. Happy marriages, no warning signs. Then one morning the wife is gone. Only a note remains. Minho picked up one of the notes. It was a copy that another husband had sent to Tai-Ho. You should move forward without me. I was never worthy of your kindness. He shook his head. The words are almost identical, like someone told them what to write. That is what I think too. This is not a personal choice. This is organized. Someone or something is making these women leave. Yuna arrived an hour later. She looked tired but excited. She carried a small device that blocked electronic listening. I found something, she said after turning on the device. It was not easy. I had to dig through classified diplomatic files. What I found, it changes everything. She sat down and took a deep breath. The Volanthi have a caste system. It is not something they talk about with other species, but their society is divided into different groups based on ability. What kind of ability? Tai-Ho asked. Emotional control. The Volanthi believe that true intelligence means controlling emotions completely. The highest caste members feel almost nothing. They consider this pure and perfect. Minho frowned. But Lyra felt things. She laughed. She cried. She loved. Exactly, Yuna said. That is because Lyra belonged to a lower caste called the Unbonded. These are Volanthi who were born with the ability to form deep emotional connections. Their society sees this as a genetic defect, a flaw. Tai-Ho felt anger rising in his chest. A flaw? The thing that made her beautiful, that made her human in so many ways. They called it a flaw? Yes. And here is the important part. The Volanthi government noticed something troubling. When unbonded Volanthi married humans and lived on Earth, they changed. Their emotional capacity grew stronger. They became more creative, more independent, more alive. That sounds like a good thing, Minho said, not to the Volanthi High Council. They believe emotions are a disease, and they think humans are spreading this disease to their people. They called it contamination. The word hit Taiho like a punch. Contamination. His love for Lyra was considered contamination. It gets worse, Yuna continued. The council discovered that these changes were genetic. Children born to human Valanthi couples showed even stronger emotional abilities. The trait was spreading. The council panicked. So they ordered the wives to come back, Taiho said slowly. They are taking them away from their human families. Yes, and not just taking them away. They are planning to rehabilitate them. What does that mean? Yuna's face was dark. There is a medical procedure. It uses chemicals and technology to destroy the parts of the brain that create emotional bonds. After rehabilitation, a Valanthi cannot feel love, attachment, or deep connection ever again. They become like the high caste, cold, empty, controlled. The room went silent. Taiho felt like he could not breathe. They were going to destroy Lyra's ability to love. They were going to erase the part of her that smiled at sunsets, that cried during movies, that held him close on cold nights. Why did she go? He whispered. If she knew this would happen, why did she agree? Yuna pulled out another document. Because the council made a threat. They told the wives that if they did not return voluntarily, they would classify Earth as a contamination source. All Valanthi contact with humans would end. Travel, trade, cultural exchange, everything would stop. They used Earth as a hostage, Minho said, his voice angry. Yes, these women sacrificed themselves to protect their human families and the entire planet. They left because they loved too much to let us suffer for them. Taiho stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Seoul was bright with lights and life. People walked on the streets, living their normal lives. They did not know that 17 women had given up everything to protect this world. She left to save me, he said quietly. She left because she loved me too much to let me lose everything. That appears to be true, Yuna said. Lyra and the others believed they had no choice. Taiho turned around. His eyes were wet, but his voice was strong. Then we give them a choice. We find them, and we bring them home. How? Minho asked. The Valanthi will not help us. Their government wants this to happen. Before Taiho could answer, his phone made a sound. A message had arrived from an unknown source. He opened it carefully. The message contained coordinates to a space station called Kiora 7. Below the coordinates was a single sentence. She did not leave because she stopped loving you. She left because she could not stop. Taiho showed the message to the others. Someone wants to help us. Someone who knows the truth. It could be a trap, Minho warned. Maybe, but it is also our only lead. I am going. Yuna nodded slowly. Then we go together. I can get us transport. But Taiho, you need to understand something. If we do this, we are going against Valanthi wishes. There could be consequences. I do not care about consequences. They took my wife. They are going to destroy her ability to love. I will not sit here and let it happen. Minho smiled for the first time in weeks. You know I am with you. Someone has to keep you from doing something stupid. They spent the next few days preparing. Yuna arranged secret transport to Kiora 7, a neutral space station where species met without government oversight. Minho gathered equipment and supplies. Taiho continued talking to the other husbands, sharing what they had learned. The reactions were powerful. Anger, grief, and most importantly, hope. These men had been told to forget, but now they knew the truth. Their wives had not abandoned them. Their wives had sacrificed themselves out of love. One husband, a doctor from Japan named Kenji, said it perfectly. All my life, I studied the human body. I thought I understood what makes us strong. But now I know. It is not muscles or bones. It is love. Love is the strongest thing in the universe, and they are trying to cut it out of our wives like it is a cancer. Another husband from Brazil, named Marco, clenched his fists. My wife Elena used to say that loving me was the first time she felt complete, and now they want to take that feeling away from her forever. I cannot accept this. I will not. Taiho felt the same fire burning in all of them. 17 husbands, 17 stories of love that crossed the stars, 17 men who refused to forget. The night before they left for Kiora 7, Taiho sat alone with Lyra's photo. He remembered her voice, soft and wondering, asking him questions about human emotions. "Why do humans cry when they are happy?" she had asked once. "Because sometimes feelings are too big for just one expression," he had answered. She had thought about this for a long time. Then she had smiled. "I think I understand now. I think I am learning to feel things that are too big for one expression too." Taiho touched the photo gently. "Hold on, Lyra. I am coming for you. They think love is a weakness. I am going to show them how wrong they are." The next morning, he boarded the transport ship with Yuna and Minho. Earth grew smaller behind them as they flew toward the unknown. They did not know what waited for them at Kiora 7. They did not know if they could save Lyra and the others. But they knew one thing for certain. Humans do not give up on the people they love. Not now. Not ever. Kiora 7 was a place between worlds. The space station floated in neutral territory, far from any government's control. Here, species who did not want to be watched could meet, trade, and share secrets. Taiho had never been to space before. He watched through the small window as stars moved slowly past. Somewhere out there, Lyra was waiting. He had to believe she was still waiting. The station was large and busy. Aliens of many kinds walked through the metal hallways. Some had scales, some had fur, some looked almost human. Taiho, Yuna, and Minho moved carefully through the crowds, following the coordinates from the mysterious message. The coordinates led them to a small room in the lower levels of the station. The door was old and scratched. Minho knocked 3 times. A voice spoke from inside. "Enter." The room was dim and simple. An elderly Valanthi male sat in a chair near the back. His silver-blue skin was pale with age. His glowing eyes looked tired but kind. "You are the human who seeks his wife," the old alien said. "I am Orin. I sent you the message." Taiho stepped forward. "You know about Lyra? You know where she is?" "I know many things. Please sit. The truth I must share is heavy, and you should be comfortable when you hear it." They sat on old chairs that creaked under their weight. Orin looked at each of them slowly, as if measuring their hearts. "I left my homeworld 60 years ago," he began. "I was like your wife. I was unbonded. I could feel things that others of my kind could not. Love, joy, sorrow. The High Council called me broken. They wanted to fix me, so I ran." "You escaped rehabilitation," Yuna said. "Yes. And I have lived among other species ever since. I have watched from afar as my people grew colder and more controlled. I have also watched as some of our young ones found something beautiful on Earth. They found humans." Orin leaned forward. "The Council fears your species more than any other in the galaxy. Do you know why?" "Because we made their people feel emotions," Taiho said. "Partly, but it is more than that. You see, Valanthi and humans are surprisingly similar in our basic biology. When an unbonded Valanthi forms a true bond with a human, something happens at the genetic level. The Valanthi brain changes. It grows new pathways for processing emotion. These changes become permanent, and they can be passed to children." Minho leaned back. "Evolution? The Valanthi are evolving because of contact with humans." "Exactly. And the High Council sees this as the greatest threat in our history. For thousands of years, they have controlled our people by controlling emotions. A population that cannot feel is easy to rule. But humans are teaching Valanthi how to feel again. The Council cannot allow this. So they ordered the wives to return," Taiho said. "Yes. At first, they tried soft methods. They offered the unbonded women rewards to come home. Status, wealth. When that failed, they used threats. They told the women that if they did not return, Earth would be cut off from all Valanthi contact. Trade would stop. Cultural exchange would end. Some of your technology depends on Valanthi science. The impact would be serious." Yuna nodded grimly. "We knew about the threats, but why did the women agree? Why not fight back?" Orin's eyes grew sad. "Because they love. That is both their power and their weakness. Lyra and the others could not bear the thought of their human families suffering because of them. They chose sacrifice over survival. They went willingly to protect the ones they love." "Where are they now?" Taiho asked. "What is happening to them?" "They are being held in a rehabilitation center on our homeworld. The process takes time. The council wants to make an example of them. They are showing all Valanthi what happens when you allow yourself to feel too much. Have they started the procedure yet? Oren shook his head. Not yet. The women are being kept in waiting areas. The council is using them for political purposes first, but time is running out. In approximately 1 week, the procedures will begin. After that, your wife will still be alive. But the person she was, the person who loved you, that will be gone forever. Taiho stood up abruptly. Then we have 1 week. We need to get to the Valanthi homeworld. We need to rescue them. You are talking about entering the territory of a powerful species that does not want you there, Oren said. Their warships guard every approach. Their security is tight. A few humans cannot simply walk in and take their people back. Then what do you suggest? Oren was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. It was a real smile, full of warmth. It reminded Taiho of Lyra. I suggest that you remember what makes humans special. Your species has faced impossible situations before. You have won wars that should have destroyed you. You have solved problems that seem permanent. And you have done it not with strength, but with heart. He stood and walked to a small cabinet. From inside, he pulled out a data chip. This contains everything I know about the Rehabilitation Center. Maps, guard schedules, weak points. It also contains a list of Valanthi sympathizers. There are more of us than the Council knows. Many unbonded hide their true nature, dreaming of a day when they can feel freely. Taiho took the chip. Thank you. But why are you helping us? You could be punished for this. Oren put his hand on Taiho's shoulder. Because 60 years ago, I ran. I survived, but I was alone. I never had what your wife has. I never had someone who would cross the stars to bring me home. When I saw you searching, refusing to give up, I knew I had to help. You are giving me a chance to finally do something meaningful. Yuna studied the data chip. Even with this information, we cannot do this alone. We need more people. We need a ship capable of reaching Valanthi space. You will find both on Earth, Oren said. Tell your story. Tell the truth about what is happening. Humans have a strange quality. When one of you is in pain, others feel it too. Use that. Minho stood up. He is right. We go back to Earth. We gather support. Then we come back with enough people to make a difference. Taiho nodded, but something still troubled him. Oren, you said the wives left to protect Earth. If we rescue them, what happens? Will the Council cut off all contact with our planet? Oren's expression grew serious. That is possible. The Council may punish Earth for your interference. But consider this. Would you rather live in a universe where contact is maintained through fear and sacrifice? Or would you rather fight for a universe where love is free? It was not an easy question. The consequences could affect all of humanity, not just 17 families. But as Taiho thought about Lyra, about her smile, about the way she had learned to love despite everything her culture taught her, he knew the answer. Love should be free, he said, and if the universe does not agree, then we will change the universe. Oren laughed softly. Now you sound like a true human. Go, save your wives, and show my people what it means to feel without fear. They left Kiora 7 that night. On the journey back to Earth, Taiho reviewed everything Oren had given them. Maps of the Rehabilitation Center, information about Valanthi security, names of those who might help. But more than information, Oren had given him hope. There were Valanthi who believed in emotion. There were allies waiting to be found. This was not just a rescue mission. It was a chance to change an entire civilization. Yuna sat beside him, studying the same files. This is bigger than we thought. If we succeed, we could spark a revolution. And if we fail, then we fail. But at least we tried. At least we showed the universe that humans do not accept cruelty quietly. Minho was flying the ship. He looked back at them with a grin. You two are getting very philosophical. I just want to punch some Valanthi guards and bring the ladies home. Taiho laughed. It was the first time he had laughed since Lyra left. It felt good. We will do both, he said. Philosophy and punching. That is the human way. Earth appeared ahead of them, blue and beautiful. Somewhere down there, 16 other husbands were waiting. They were about to receive news that would change everything. The fight was just beginning, and for the first time, Taiho felt like they could actually win. Taiho stood in front of a camera. Behind him, 16 other men stood together. They were from different countries, different cultures, different lives. But they all shared one thing. They had all lost their Valanthi wives. The broadcast went live to every news network on Earth. Billions of people watched. "My name is Kim Taiho," he began. "3 weeks ago, my wife Lyra disappeared. She left a note telling me to forget her. She said she was not worthy of my love." He paused to steady his voice. "I have learned the truth. Lyra did not leave because she stopped loving me. She left because she loved me too much. The Valanthi government forced her to return. They are going to destroy her ability to feel emotions. They are going to erase the woman I love." The camera showed the other husbands. Each one held a photo of his wife. 17 women sacrificed themselves to protect Earth. They went quietly so that our world would not suffer. But we cannot accept this sacrifice. We cannot stand by while the people we love are taken from us. Marco from Brazil spoke next. "My wife Elena taught me that love is not just a feeling, it is a choice. She chose to love me every single day. Now I choose to fight for her every single day." Kenji from Japan held up his wife's photo. "Yuki once told me that humans feel things too deeply. I told her that is what makes us human. I will not let them take her depth away." One by one, the husbands spoke. Their words were simple but powerful. They talked about first meetings, about quiet mornings, about the small moments that make a marriage real. They talked about love that crossed species and stars. Taiho spoke last. "The Valanthi call human emotion a disease. They say we have contaminated their people. But I say love is not contamination. Connection is not weakness. These women became better because they learned to feel, and we became better because of them." He looked directly at the camera. "We are going to bring them home. We do not know how yet, but we are asking for help. If you believe that love is worth fighting for, stand with us." The broadcast ended. Then the world responded. Messages came flooding in. Thousands at first, then millions. People from every country wrote to offer support. Pilots volunteered their skills. Engineers offered to help build ships. Doctors said they would join any rescue team. Ordinary people donated money, resources, anything they could give. The phrase from the notes became a rallying cry. "I was never worthy" was printed on shirts and signs. But people changed it. They wrote, "You were always worthy" instead. They wrote, "Love is not a disease." They wrote, "Bring them home." Governments were more careful. The official response was diplomatic and cautious. Leaders worried about damaging relations with the Valanthi. They gave statements about proper channels and peaceful negotiations. But the people did not wait for governments. Yuna worked without sleep for 3 days. She used her connections to find a ship. It was an old transport vessel that had been retired from military service. It was not fast or pretty, but it could fly. Minho gathered the crew, former soldiers who believed in the cause, pilots who had nothing to lose, security experts who wanted to make a difference. 47 people in total, all volunteers. The other husbands insisted on coming. Marco, Kenji, and the rest refused to stay behind. "These are our wives," they said. "We belong on that ship." As the mission came together, the Valanthi responded. The ambassador to Earth appeared on screens worldwide. He was a tall, cold figure with no expression on his face. "We are aware of the human response to recent events," he said. "We warn you that any unauthorized approach to Valanthi space will be considered an act of aggression. There will be consequences, severe consequences." He continued without emotion. "The women who returned to our world made their choice freely. They belong to our species. They are subject to our laws. Human interference will not be tolerated." The message was clear. Come for them, and there will be war. That night, Taiho stood alone on the roof of his apartment building. Souls spread out below him, millions of lights against the darkness. He thought about what the ambassador had said. He thought about the risk. If they failed, humans might die. Relations with the Valanthi would be destroyed. Earth could face punishment from a species with superior technology. But if they did nothing, 17 women would lose their souls. The ability to love would be burned out of them like a cancer, and humanity would have abandoned its own values. Minho found him on the roof. Having second thoughts? Lots of them, Taiho admitted. This could go very wrong. It could. But you know what I keep thinking about? I keep thinking about what happens if we do nothing, if we just accept it, if we tell ourselves that it is not our problem, not our fight. What happens? We stop being human. We become like them, cold, safe, dead inside. Minho looked at the stars. I would rather die fighting for something real than live without anything to fight for. Taiho nodded slowly. You are right. We have to do this. Whatever happens, we have to try. The next morning, Taiho recorded a response to the Volanthi ambassador. It was broadcast worldwide, just like the warning had been. You took our wives because they learned to love. You call it a disease, you call it contamination, but I have seen what happens when your people learn to feel. They become more than they were. They become complete. He stood straight, his voice steady. You say there will be consequences. Maybe there will. But we are not coming to make war. We are coming to bring our families home, and we will not stop until they are safe. He paused, then added words that would echo across the galaxy. Humans do not abandon the people they love. That is not our weakness. That is our strength. And if you do not understand that, you will learn. The broadcast ended. Within hours, the ship was ready. The volunteers gathered. The husbands said goodbye to their families, not knowing if they would return. At the launch site, crowds of supporters gathered despite government warnings. They held signs and candles. They cheered as the crew boarded the ship. A young woman ran up to Taiho before he entered. She pressed something into his hand. It was a small photograph of a Volanthi woman. My mother, she said. Her eyes were wet. She left my father 10 years ago. He never stopped loving her. He died still hoping she would come back. She grabbed Taiho's hand. Bring them home. All of them. So no more daughters have to watch their fathers die of broken hearts. Taiho held the photo carefully. I will try. I promise. He boarded the ship. The engine started with a roar that shook the ground. The crowd below waved and shouted, their voices lost in the noise. As Earth fell away behind them, Taiho looked at his crew. 47 volunteers, 17 husbands, one old ship held together by hope. Against them stood an entire civilization with powerful weapons and cold hearts. But they had something the Volanthi did not understand. They had love. Real, messy, complicated, wonderful love. The kind that makes people do impossible things. Minho set the course for Volanthi space. The stars stretched ahead of them, countless and bright. How long until we arrive? Marco asked. 4 days, Minho replied. Plenty of time to plan and to worry. Taiho smiled grimly. Then let us use the time well. We have wives to save and a universe to change. The ship flew on, a tiny spark of hope against the infinite darkness of space. The Volanthi border was marked by warning signals that filled every communication channel. Turn back, they said. Unauthorized vessels will be destroyed. Taiho stood on the bridge of their small ship, watching the screens. Ahead of them, 3 Volanthi warships blocked the way. Each one was larger than anything humans had ever built. Their weapons were visible even from this distance, glowing with deadly energy. They are hailing us, said the communications officer, a young woman named Sumi. Let them speak, Taiho said. A Volanthi commander appeared on the screen. His face was hard and expressionless. His voice was flat, like a machine. Human vessel, you have entered restricted space. You were warned of consequences. Turn your ship around now, or we will open fire. You have 1 minute to comply. The bridge went silent. Everyone looked at Taiho. He thought about Lyra. He thought about the photograph that young woman had given him, of the mother who never came home. He thought about all the empty beds and broken hearts on Earth. Commander, Taiho said calmly, I request permission to speak, not as an enemy, but as a husband. The Volanthi commander showed no reaction. You have 30 seconds. My name is Kim Taiho. My wife is Lyra. She is being held on your world. I did not come here to fight. I came here to bring her home. Your wife returned voluntarily. She belongs to our society. You have no claim. She left because you threatened to hurt my world. She left because she loves humans so much that she sacrificed herself for us. Is that not proof that her love is real? Is that not proof that her emotions are not a flaw but a gift? The commander's eyes narrowed slightly. Human emotion is a corruption. Your wife is sick. We are going to heal her. You are going to destroy her. You are going to cut away the part of her that knows joy and sorrow and love. After your treatment, she will walk and talk, but she will be empty inside. How is that healing? You have 15 seconds. Taiho took a deep breath. He had prepared for this moment. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device. Before you fire, I ask you to listen. Not to me. To a story. He pressed a button. Suddenly his voice was broadcasting on all frequencies. Every Valanthi ship, every station, every receiver in the area could hear him. I met Lyra 4 years ago at a cultural exchange in Seoul. She was standing alone watching humans dance. She looked confused and curious. I walked up to her and asked if she wanted to try some human food. The Valanthi commander was speaking to someone off-screen, probably ordering them to block the transmission. But the technology Oren had given them was working. The signal could not be stopped. Our first date was at a small cafe. She did not understand why humans put so much sugar in their drinks. She tasted my coffee and made a face like she had eaten something terrible. I laughed so hard I almost fell off my chair. On the warships, Valanthi crew members were listening. Many of them had never heard a love story told this way. The unbonded among them felt something stir in their hearts. She came to my mother's funeral. My mother had been sick for a long time. When she finally passed, I thought I had no tears left. But at the ceremony, I broke down. I cried like a child. Taiho's voice grew softer. Lyra held my hand, and then something happened that shocked both of us. She started crying too. Real tears. She had never cried before in her life. She was terrified and amazed at the same time. The Valanthi commander was shouting orders now. But his crew was hesitating. Some of them had lowered their weapons to listen. Afterwards, she asked me why she cried. I told her it was because she felt my pain. She had connected to me so deeply that my sorrow became her sorrow. She asked if that was normal for humans. I said yes. I said that is what love does. It joins two hearts together. On one of the warships, a young officer stood frozen at her station. She was unbonded, hiding her true nature for years. Tears were forming in her eyes. She had never heard anyone describe what she felt inside. The Valanthi High Council calls this contamination. They say humans are poisoning your people with emotion. But I ask you, is what I describe poison? Is connection a disease? Is the ability to feel another person's joy and pain something that should be cut out like a cancer? Silence on all channels. Even the commander had stopped shouting. I am not here to make war. I am here because I love my wife. I crossed the stars because I could not accept a universe where she is punished for loving me back. If that makes me a fool, then I am proud to be one. Taiho looked at the camera, speaking now to every Valanthi who was listening. Some of you are like Lyra. You feel things that your society tells you are wrong. You hide your hearts because you are afraid. But you are not broken. You are not sick. You are alive in a way that your leaders cannot understand. He paused, then finished with simple words. Love is not weakness. Love is what makes life worth living. And anyone who tells you otherwise has forgotten what it means to truly exist. The transmission ended. The bridge was silent. For a long moment, nothing happened. The warships hung in space, their weapons still pointed at the small human vessel. Then slowly, one of the warships powered down its weapons. Then another. The commander's face appeared on the screen again. He looked angry and confused. What is happening? I ordered you to maintain firing positions. A new voice came through the channel. It was the young officer who had cried. Commander, some of us are choosing not to fire. This is treason. No, sir. This is something else. Something we have not felt in a long time. There was wonder in her voice. This is hope. Other unbonded crew members were speaking up now. On all 3 ships, officers and soldiers were refusing orders. They did not want to destroy a man who had crossed the galaxy for love. They did not want to be part of a system that erased emotions like mistakes. The commander tried to order the remaining loyal crew to fire, but the weapon systems required multiple operators. With half the crew refusing, nothing could be done. A small gap opened between two of the warships, just enough for a single vessel to pass through. Minho did not wait for permission. He pushed the engines to full power. The human ship shot forward, racing toward the gap. The commander screamed in rage, "Stop them! Someone stop them!" But no one did. As the human ship passed between the massive warships, Taiho saw Valanthi faces in the windows. Some looked angry, some looked confused, but many looked something else entirely. They looked moved. They looked awake. They looked like they had just remembered something important that they had forgotten long ago. The ship broke through the blockade. Valanthi space opened ahead of them, vast and unknown. Behind them, they could hear chaos on the communication channels. The unbonded were speaking openly for the first time. They were challenging the old order. One man's love story had cracked open a door that had been sealed for centuries. Minho was grinning wildly. "That was insane. You actually talked us past a military blockade." Taiho collapsed into his chair, his heart still racing. "I just told the truth. I told them about Lyra." Sumi looked at her screens with wonder. "Sir, I am picking up new signals. Valanthi ships all across this sector are experiencing the same thing. Crew members are refusing orders. The unbonded are revealing themselves." Kenji put his hand on Taiho's shoulder. "You did not just save us. You started a revolution." Taiho thought about this. A revolution was not what he came for. He just wanted his wife back. But maybe those two things were connected. Maybe you cannot free one person without freeing everyone. "We are not finished yet," he said. "We still have to reach the rehabilitation center. We still have to bring them home." The ship flew deeper into Valanthi space. Behind them, the old order was beginning to crumble. Ahead of them, 17 women were waiting. The heart that would not forget was beating stronger than ever. And it was changing the galaxy with every beat. The Valanthi homeworld was beautiful from space. Blue and silver oceans covered most of its surface. Great cities sparkled like jewels on the land. It looked peaceful. It looked perfect. But Taiho knew that beneath that beauty, something terrible was about to happen. The human ship landed in a hidden location outside the capital city. Their Valanthi sympathizers had arranged everything. 3 unbonded agents met them when they arrived. "The rehabilitation center is heavily guarded," one agent explained. She was a young woman named Kira, her silver-blue skin pale with fear. "But the guards are confused right now. Your broadcast caused chaos. Many unbonded have revealed themselves. The High Council is dealing with rebellion across the planet." "How much time do we have?" Taiho asked. "The Council has accelerated the procedures. They want to complete the rehabilitations before things get worse. Your wives will be taken into the procedure rooms in 4 hours." 4 hours. Such a small amount of time to save 17 lives. The rescue team moved through the city in small groups. They wore Valanthi clothing to blend in. The streets were tense. Military vehicles moved in every direction. Screens on buildings showed council messages about maintaining order and protecting society from emotional contamination. But Taiho also saw something else. In doorways and windows, Valanthi watched the chaos with strange expressions. Some looked scared. Some looked excited. A few even smiled at the humans as they passed, small, secret smiles of hope. The rehabilitation center was a massive white building in the government district. It looked like a hospital, but Taiho knew it was more like a prison. Inside those walls, 17 women were waiting to have their hearts erased. The sympathizers had created a plan. A distraction at the front gate would draw most of the guards away. Meanwhile, the rescue team would enter through a maintenance tunnel that led to the lower levels. "The wives are being held in individual rooms on the 3rd floor," Kira explained. "Each room has 1 guard. Once you reach the 3rd floor, you will have approximately 10 minutes before reinforcements arrive." 10 minutes to reach 17 rooms and get everyone out," Minho said. "That is going to be tight." "Then we do not waste a single second," Taiho replied. The distraction began right on time. Sympathizers started a protest at the main gate, shouting about emotional freedom and the right to feel. Guards rushed to contain them. Sirens filled the air. The rescue team slipped into the maintenance tunnel. The passage was dark and narrow. They moved in silence, hearts pounding, weapons ready. They emerged in a basement storage area. From there, Kira led them up service stairs to the 3rd floor. The hallways were white and bright, lined with identical doors. Behind each door was a wife. Behind each door was someone's entire world. The guards were fewer than expected. Many had gone to the front gate. The ones who remained looked nervous and uncertain. News of the spreading rebellion had shaken them. The team split up. Each husband went to find his own wife. Tai-Ho ran down the corridor, checking room numbers. His heart was beating so fast he thought it might explode. Then he found her door. He pushed it open. And there she was. Lyra sat on a simple white bed in a simple white room. She wore a plain gray dress. Her silver blue skin seemed paler than he remembered. Her beautiful, glowing eyes were fixed on the floor. She looked up when he entered. For a moment she did not react. Then recognition flooded her face. Tai-Ho. Her voice was a whisper. Why are you here? He crossed the room and took her hands. They were cold. He warmed them with his own. I came to bring you home, he said. Did you really think I would forget you? Tears started to fall from her eyes. Real tears, the kind that Valanthi were not supposed to cry. You should not have come. They will destroy everything. Earth, your family, your future. I am not worth it. Tai-Ho cupped her face in his hands. He looked into her glowing eyes. You taught me that your people measure worth by usefulness, by how much you produce, how much you contribute. But my people measure worth differently. How? We measure worth by love. You are worth everything because I love you. That is enough. That is always enough. She stared at him. In all her life, no one had ever said anything like that to her. On her world, value had to be earned. It had to be proved. But here was this strange, stubborn human telling her that she was valuable simply because he loved her. I do not understand, she whispered. You do not have to understand. You just have to believe it. And if you cannot believe it yet, I will believe it for you. Every day, until you see yourself the way I see you. She broke down completely then. She fell into his arms and cried like she had at his mother's funeral. She cried for all the years she had been told she was defective. She cried for the fear of losing herself. She cried for the love she had tried so hard to give up. Tai-Ho held her tight. He stroked her hair. He whispered words of comfort in a language she was still learning to speak. I love you, Lyra. I love you, and no one is going to take you away from me again. Down the hallway, similar scenes were happening in every room. Marco found Elena. Kenji found Yuki. 17 husbands found 17 wives. The reunions were messy and emotional and deeply, beautifully human. Even the Valanthi guards were affected. Some of them had never seen such displays of feeling. They watched with wide eyes, their weapons forgotten at their sides. One guard, an older woman, approached Minho. Is this what love looks like? She asked quietly. Minho looked at the husbands and wives embracing. Yes, this is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. The guard looked at her weapon. Then she put it down. I never felt anything like this. I thought I could not. But watching them, something is happening inside me. Something is waking up. That is called hope, Minho said. And it is not a disease. Alarms started ringing. Their time was up. We need to go, Yuna shouted. Now! But as they gathered the wives and prepared to run, a voice stopped them. Wait. It was Lyra. She was still holding Tai-Ho's hand, but she was looking at the exit with fear. If we run, they will chase us. The Council has ships. They will shoot us down before we reach Earth. Then what do we do? Tai-Ho asked. Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then a strange calm came over her face. She looked at the other wives. They seemed to understand something without words. We do not run, Lyra said. We fight, but not with weapons. She turned to the others. They are going to send elite forces. The High Council will be watching. This is our chance to speak directly to our people, to show them what we have learned. That is dangerous, Elena said. If the Council sees us as a threat, we are already a threat. That is why they wanted to erase us. But they cannot erase what we have started. They cannot erase what the humans have shown us. Tai-Ho squeezed her hand. What do you want to do? Lyra looked at him with eyes full of love and determination. I want to go to the council chambers. I want to speak to my people. I want to tell them that they do not have to be afraid anymore. It was a crazy plan. It was dangerous and likely to fail. But as Tai-ho looked at his wife, he saw something he had never seen before. She was not just the woman who had learned to love. She was becoming something more. A leader, a voice, a light in the darkness. Then we go to the council chambers, he said, together. The rescue team became something else in that moment. They became a revolution, and they were about to shake the foundations of an empire. The council chambers were at the heart of the Valanthi capital, a massive dome of glass and metal where the most powerful leaders in the empire made their decisions. Today, those leaders would hear something they had never expected. Lyra led the group through the chaotic streets. Sympathizers joined them along the way. What started as a rescue team became a march. Humans and Valanthi walked side by side, moving toward the center of power. Guards tried to stop them, but more guards lowered their weapons and stepped aside. The old order was crumbling. The unbonded were rising. When they reached the council chambers, the doors were locked. But Lyra had one more surprise. She pulled out a small device and pressed a button. "Emergency broadcast activated," a voice announced. "All channels open." Every screen on every world in the Valanthi Empire showed the same image. Lyra standing before the council doors, surrounded by humans and Valanthi. Her face was calm but determined. Her eyes glowed with something the council had never seen in an unbonded before. Confidence. "People of the Valanthi Empire," she began. "My name is Lyra. You were told that I am defective, that my ability to feel deeply is a genetic mistake, that humans have contaminated me with their emotions." She paused, letting her words reach across the stars. "I am here to tell you that everything you were taught is wrong." Inside the council chambers, the High Council watched in horror. The supreme leader, a cold, ancient Valanthi named Torak, ordered his elite guards to stop the broadcast. But the sympathizers had taken control of the communications network. There was no stopping this. "I have lived among humans for 4 years," Lyra continued. "I have learned things that our people forgot long ago. I have learned that joy is not weakness. I have learned that grief is not failure. I have learned that love does not diminish you. It makes you more." She turned to look at Tai-ho, who stood beside her. Her voice softened. "This man crossed the galaxy to find me. He faced our warships. He risked war between our peoples, not for power, not for profit, just because he loves me." She faced the cameras again. "I was taught that such actions are irrational, foolish, wasteful. But I ask you, is there anything more beautiful than being worth that much to someone?" Across the empire, Valanthi watched. Many had never questioned the old ways, but now they were seeing something that shook them to their core. An unbonded who was not ashamed, an unbonded who was proud. "You call us defective because we can form bonds. You call us sick because we can cry. But look at what your perfect logic has built. A society of hollow people, an empire of order without meaning. We live for thousands of years, but we do not really live at all." The guards around the council chambers were hesitating. Some were crying. They did not know they could cry. The tears surprised and scared them, but they did not try to stop. "The humans taught me a different way. They taught me that life is not about avoiding pain. It is about finding things worth feeling pain for. Family, friends, love, purpose. These things make existence meaningful." The council doors opened from inside. Supreme Leader Torak emerged, surrounded by his elite guards. His face was twisted with rage. "Enough!" he shouted. "This is treason. This is contamination spreading in real time. Guards, arrest them all." But the guards did not move. Torak turned to his elite soldiers. "I gave you an order." One of the guards, a young man, spoke quietly. "We are tired of following orders that make no sense. We are tired of being empty." He removed his helmet. His eyes were wet with tears. "We want to feel. We want to be like them." More guards removed their helmets. More faces showed tears. The emotion was spreading like fire through dry grass. Torak looked around desperately. His power was dissolving before his eyes. "You are all infected. You are all lost." Lyra stepped forward. "We are not lost. We are found. For the first time in our history, we know who we really are." She spoke now directly to the Supreme Leader. You built an empire on the belief that emotions make us weak. But look around you. Every guard who cries is stronger than you, because they have the courage to feel, and you have nothing but fear. Torak raised his hand. There was a weapon hidden in his sleeve, a small energy device capable of killing at close range. If I cannot stop this rebellion, I will at least end you. Time seemed to slow. Taiho saw the weapon. He moved without thinking. He stepped in front of Lyra just as Torak fired. The energy beam hit Taiho in the chest. He fell backward into Lyra's arms. Pain exploded through his body. His vision started to fade. Taiho! Lyra screamed. The sound of her voice, so full of anguish and love, echoed through the chambers. It reached every screen on every world. Elite guards tackled Torak. The weapon was taken from him, but Lyra did not notice. She was holding Taiho, crying freely, begging him to stay. Do not leave me, she whispered. You cannot leave me. You said love is always enough. You promised. Taiho looked up at her face. Even through the pain, he smiled. I am glad you learned to cry. Your tears are beautiful. Stop talking. Save your strength. Lyra, did I do good? Did I help you? She held him closer. You did everything. You changed everything. Medical teams rushed in. Human doctors from the rescue team and Valanthi sympathizers who had medical training worked together. They stabilized Taiho, stopped the bleeding, kept his heart beating. Hours later, he woke up in a medical facility. Lyra was beside him, holding his hand. She had not left him for a moment. You are awake, she said, relief flooding her voice. I had a strange dream, he said weakly. I dreamed I started a revolution. She laughed through her tears. It was not a dream. The council has fallen. Torak has been removed from power. The unbonded have taken control of the government. Taiho tried to sit up. Pain shot through him. What about the other wives? The rehabilitation procedures? All canceled. Forever. We are passing new laws. Emotions will never again be treated as a disease. The unbonded will never again have to hide. She leaned down and kissed his forehead. You did this. You and the other husbands. You showed us that love is worth fighting for. Over the next few weeks, the galaxy changed. The new Valanthi government reached out to Earth. They apologized for the forced separations. They promised a new relationship based on respect and openness. The 17 wives returned to Earth with their husbands. They were greeted as heroes. Crowds cheered for them. Leaders praised them. The story of the humans who crossed the stars for love became legend. But for Taiho and Lyra, the best part was simple. They went home. They sat in their small apartment in Seoul. They drank tea together. They watched the sunset. Will you miss your old world? Taiho asked. My old world was cold and empty, Lyra said. This is my world now. Wherever you are, that is home. 1 year later, there was a ceremony. On a neutral space station, humans in Valanthi gathered to celebrate the anniversary of the revolution. The 17 couples stood together on a stage. A Valanthi child approached Taiho after the ceremony. She was unbonded, born into a world that now accepted her for who she was. Excuse me, she said shyly. Can I ask you a question? Taiho knelt down to her level. Of course. Why did you risk everything for one person? There are billions of people in the galaxy. Why did she matter so much? Taiho thought about the question. It was the same question the old leaders would have asked. The question of a logical mind that did not understand love. Because she was not just one person to me, he said. She was my whole universe. When you love someone that much, there is no risk too great. There is no distance too far. You do whatever it takes. The child thought about this. Then she smiled. I hope I find someone who loves me like that someday. You will, Taiho said. And when you do, hold on to them. Never let go. He stood up and walked back to Lyra. She took his hand, and they looked out at the stars together. What did the child ask? Lyra said. She asked why you were worth everything. What did you say? Taiho smiled. I told her the truth, that you are my whole universe, and that I would cross the stars for you again if I had to. Lyra leaned her head against his shoulder. I was never worthy of your love. I said that in my note. You were wrong. I know that now. She looked up at him, her glowing eyes full of warmth. You taught me that worth is not something you earn. It is something you receive, and I receive it from you every day. They stood together in the starlight, the human and the alien who had changed the galaxy. Behind them, the other couples laughed and celebrated. Humans and Velanthe danced together, their movements clumsy and joyful. The universe was still vast and mysterious. There were still problems to solve and challenges to face. But tonight, none of that mattered. Tonight was about love, about the stubborn, impossible, beautiful power of hearts that refuse to forget. And in that moment, watching his wife smile under alien stars, Tai-Ho knew that everything had been worth it. Every tear, every fight, every mile across the galaxy, all of it, worth it, because that is what love does. It makes impossible things possible, and it reminds us that in a universe of cold darkness, the warmth of connection is the most powerful force of all.